This is what you'll see. So, white Jesus is concerned here. All right, let's go from here. All right, quick recap of the facts that we've looked at so far. Johnson's New Encyclopedia, pages 1040 to 1042, does not agree with Kilgore's defense of Ellen White's statements about amalgamation. This encyclopedia
Definitely not.
entry it demonstrates the idea of hybrid dog people and others like it are fabrications and scientific impossibilities. But Ellen does not realize this. Okay. Kilgore's defense fails. F.D. Nichols' defense fails. The E.G.W. estate defense fails. What's the other guy, McCready Price?
Exactly. Every one of those defense failed except Ellen White. Right? Because she didn't say what any of those said. And that's the crux of your problem. You're trying to find a way to link her to these people. That's what you're trying to do. See what they said? That's not true. What the second one said? What Nichols said? That's not true. What the White Estate said? That's not true either. Yeah, what Kilmore? Yeah, that's not true. You see? They're all wrong. And that's exactly right. They're all wrong. Who's right is Ellen White. That's what's right. She didn't say what they say. And that is the point. And that is where you fail.
His fails, and Ellen White's teaching here is 100% false. 100%.
Yes, sir.
No.
Yeah, and I want to address this guy really quick here in the comments. This Mark Anthony, he is a regular here that likes to cause contention in the comment section. He says, "Does anyone here have a PhD in biology?" No, Mark, we don't need a PhD in biology. Just like the GC session didn't need to have a PhD in biology to understand what she was saying either. All right,
Facts.
CMB, continue.
Thank you. Oh gosh, I was gonna say something about third graded.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, that is funny. People, everybody's always trying to hide behind title. You know, have you studied this? Have you studied that? Like, people doesn't have common sense. Yeah, you studied this? You didn't study that, right? Are you an expert in this? Huh? It's like when you go to these people that want to kill their babies, right? Like, you can't tell a woman what you some type of biologist? You some type of doctor? You know if that thing can feel or anything like what? Is it alive? No, we don't know if it's alive either, but is it dead? You ain't no doctor, you don't know. Oh, it's common sense. People have common sense, you know, but common sense doesn't go far these days, it seems. That's like taboo. You can't have common sense. You can't have an opinion on anything. You have to go and it's like when I was talking to this pastor about the 3 days and 3 nights that Christ spent in the earth. He was like, "Oh my goodness, no, you know, you can't come and talk to me about this." I was like, "What do you mean?" No. You have to. You don't know anything about the Greek and the Hebrew. I said, I can't read it, but I mean, you can't come and lie to me either. I mean, I can find out for myself what it says. I don't need to know how to read it or speak it. I need the books. So I need. If you say something, I can find out if that's true or not. Right? I mean, what's important if it? No. You need to go and you need to study Hebrew. You need to study Greek. You need to learn how to speak it, and then come and tell me exactly what you just told me. Huh? Oh boy.
But I'm going to stop. All right, Ellen White was influenced by current events and plagiarized an open racist position to posit amalgamation between man and beast was possible. You saw that, right? Ellen White meant exactly what she said. Ellen White.
What? Let me read that. Ellen White was influenced by current events, plagiarized an open racist position to posit what? To pos amal no exactly. Between man and beast was possible. Okay. That's not what she said. That's not what she said. Let me read that again. Between man and beast was possible. But amalgamation, yes, because that's what amalgamation would be, right? Amalgamation would be this uh what is it? To posit position to what did he mean to say there? Let me just back that up. So
attributed that, right? To posit amalgamation between man and beast was possible.
to posit. Okay, I guess. Okay. I never saw that word before. Deposit. Should probably look that up. Anyways, I understand what he mean now. Amalgamation between man and beast was possible. But that's exactly what she said. That in the antediluvian times, after the antediluvian times, and even today, this thing is going on. Of course, it's not going to be out in the open today, because people are going to rise up against it. Oh yeah, the Christians are going to rise up against that if that was to happen. I mean, not if it was to happen. If there was to know it is going on, they'll be out in the streets. The government doesn't publish these type of things, but you better believe the government is doing it. They're experimenting to see what they can make, brothers and sisters. They're doing that. If you don't believe that that's going on, something's wrong with you. In the past, the people was the antediluvian, they were smart people. They were doing the same thing. They were messing around with pregnant women. They were putting things in the pregnant women to change the fetus. That's what they were doing. That is what amalgamation is. It's not that the woman, because what he's trying to say is that there was intercourse between animal and woman. And then this intercourse was making babies. That is not true. That's not what she was teaching. That's not amalgamation. That's not amalgamation. It's not just that because you always have bestiality, right? Bestiality is not amalgamation. Bestiality is basically a man and a beast having sex, or a woman and a beast having sex. That doesn't mean babies. Doesn't mean babies. It means that they're having sex together. Doesn't mean babies. Amalgamation, that means babies. That's what amalgamation means. It's the coming together of two separate things that forms a new thing. That's what amalgamation is. You see, sex with animal does not form a new thing. It can't form a new thing. That's not amalgamation. So if that's what you were trying to say, I agree. If you're trying to say they were having sex and then having babies with animals or from animals, then no. That's not what you were saying. Let's see the second point.
Saw that, right? Ellen White meant exactly what she said. Ellen White,
and she didn't say that, if that's what you mean,
attributed these horrific things to God in contradiction to the scriptures, and these wicked statements.
She attributed these things. Well, maybe that's because God showed her that this is what happened. God showed her that amalgamation was going on. She knew what amalgamation is, and you know what amalgamation is, and you're saying that it was something else. You're a smart man. You can read the definition for yourself as well. And you saw that amalgamation is not what you're saying it is. You had to go to the encyclopedia and all over the place to find something that you can use. Because you couldn't use the dictionary. And I showed you, she used that many times, that term, amalgamation. And she didn't use it the way you say that she meant it. She wasn't using it like intercourse, was she? Should you couple of example, couple of statement that she made when she used that word amalgamation and amalgamate, right? And it was no sex going on there, as you're trying to imply that she was implying.
Influence how SDAism is practiced to this very day. SDA apologists often say things like Ellen White was a champion for the rights of black.
And To this very day, no, no, no. To this very day, Adventists believe, most Adventists believe what you believe. Because they don't study for themselves. Like I said, they don't read for themselves. They read that and they would listen to people like you that tell them what that means. So, oh my goodness, that's horrible. That's horrible. That's what happens.
Americans and those who were disenfranchised. She taught equality between the races. Did she?
Mm-hmm.
No one is capable of clearly defining the proper position of the colored people. Testimonies, Volume 9, page 213, paragraph 4.
And what does that exactly mean? Maybe you're going to tell us.
Nobody is capable of clearly defining the proper position of the colored people.
Exactly what was position? What did she mean by position? Obviously, you're going to tell us, right?
I didn't know we had to have those.
No, but you going to tell us? Oh, just throw it out there, right? You see, this is where implication comes into play. They put something out there like, hey, no one is able to properly define the position of the colored people. You know what I mean? Oh man, let's go to another text. Huh? There was a lot of racism back in those days. It was a new thing when the colored people got their freedom. What position did they have? Slave? What position did they have before they were freed? What was the position? See, he's trying to say that position now is something other than position. That's what he's trying to say. Position is something other than position. These people were just freed from slavery, right? What position did they have? Before, they were slaves. After they were freed, what position did they have? Free men, right? How were they acting? A lot of the slaves, you might know this, but a lot of the slaves decided to stay with their masters. And say, you can go free. No, master, I don't want to go free. You give me my food to eat, and I'll work for you until I die. So those people that were slave, that were free, that still were slave, what position did they have? Because they were free people, right? They wasn't slave anymore. They said, we can act like slave. We can still pretend that we're slave. We ain't gonna leave our master. That happened. What position did they have? But you want to say that no, when she said position, she meant something else. She didn't mean position. She meant like some type of racist thing. That's what she was mean. That's what she was talking about. Who was she talking about when she said that? See, they pull one verse, one sentence, and they give it that. Listen to this, and they go on about their business, and leave you to surmise the worst. That's what race baiters do. Let's see.
The colored people should not urge that they be placed on an equality with the white people. Oh, there you go. Right?
Okay, let's stop and listen to this. We're going to get into some serious stuff here in a little bit. The colored people should not urge that they be placed on equality with white people. Now, why would Ellen White say such a thing? Well, let's just get the rest of it, then we'll comment what she's done.
The relation of the two races has been a matter hard to deal with, and I fear it will ever remain a most perplexing problem. Ever. So far as possible, everything that would stir up the race prejudice of the white people should be avoided. There is danger of closing the door that our white laborers will not be able to work in some places in the South. This is from the Southern work and also in testimonies here.
Okay, let's get back to that. I'll just comment on this. Do you think that makes sense, what she said? No, black people had just been freed from slavery. Right? The Democrats didn't want that to happen. They definitely wouldn't happen with that. Anyway, the Republicans freed them from slavery. The Republican people that get up and fought for the freedom of the black people. He might know that because most black people in the United States is Democrat. They're happy with their masters. Just when she didn't know where to put them. Know what position? Don't know what position to put them in. They got their freedom from the Democrats. Because those are the people that had them on plantation. And then the people that they vote into office. These people didn't change. So where we put them? No, we give them their freedoms, and then they stay on there with their masters. The Democrats was always their masters. And that's something very, very interesting too, because there wasn't any Republican that had slaves. One Republican had slave, and he was a Democrat when he had him. He became a Republican, he did with a slave. Oh. But these people that's so race-oriented, so racist, they're the one that votes these people into office. Time and time again. So tell me, which position are they in? Are they free people? Or are they where are they? The people are confused. They have their freedom and they act like slaves. They have their freedom and they act like slaves. See, oh my goodness, this racist, this is a racist person, and this one looked at me racist, and this one's racist, and this one's racist, this book is racist, computer's racist, this monitor's racist, this house is racist, everything is racist, racist, and they go sleep with that. Sleep with it. Day in and day out. Everything in their eyes is a racist thing. They're still where they were. Maybe that's why she would say, we don't know where to put them. These are free people, but they're still in bondage. Still in bondage. I don't know where to put them. What position are they in? Are they in the free position or in the slave position? Because there's only two, right? Free, slave. Do you have anything in between? I don't know. Limbo? They ain't in limbo. Because limbo ain't there or here. And they're definitely somewhere. Where we put them? They're free slaves. What are you going to do with that? Now let's look at the statement that she did. This is when colored people were just coming out of slavery, right? They just got their freedom. And she's saying, it's not a good idea for you to be wanting equality with the white people. It's not a good idea for you to do that. Now, if someone wanted to have equality with white people, do you think they had to do something? Exactly how was that going to be accomplished? Huh? Exactly how was that going to be accomplished? Let's think about that. Because he wanted to make it sound like, it's just something of the mind. No, this is something of the mind. Because your mind is still messed up. You're still thinking you're a slave. Yeah, you're all beneath Myles, right? Myles is your master. But he's a white man. All white man is keeping you down, right? And what do white people do? And Myles is pretty white. He look white to me. So Myles is keeping you down too. Yeah, he's one of those white people that's keeping you down. Oh, Myles is not like that. It's the other white people that's keeping you down. Yeah, who's that? Yeah, they're out there. They're out there. Yeah, Myles is one of those people too. So you can't have your cake and eat it too. That's the problem. Can't have your cake and eat it too. She said this to the black people because she loved them. Now, what would have happened if there was a just getting out of slavery? No, we equal. People would have get hanged for that. People would get shot for that. People would have died for that. See, she's a prophet of the Lord. Why would she go and tell somebody to do something that she know would be detrimental? It just needed time. That's all. It needed time. It wasn't the time for that to happen. And it didn't happen then. Did it? It didn't happen then. It needed time for this thing to develop. That's what was needed. And she said that, and I fear that it will ever remain a most perplexing problem. What? The relationship between the races has been a matter of hard to deal with, and I fear that it will ever remain a most perplexing problem. She didn't see any end of it in her lifetime, because she lived back there, brothers and sisters. She knew how people were. And this was church-going people too. Oh yeah, brothers and sisters. She's speaking about church people here. It's Adventist people that was waiting on the second coming. Well, how do you think that the Methodists, the Presbyterians, the Lutherans, and all of those things, they do like, yeah, but they're free now. So, hey, brothers and sisters, come right in, sit right down here next to the white people. You think that will happen? Yeah, you out of your mind. It's not what happened. It took time for that to happen. Ellen G. White had enough sense to know that, but you don't. And that is the difference between you and Ellen White. See, with your ideas, you would have been very content. Let's just say if she was to say, hey, you know what, black people, you should go out there and urge equality with the white people. That's what you should go and do. Y'all would have a fit with that. You hear what she said? I mean, she didn't have any conscience. Now, she knew that they would go there and they would get hanged, get shot, and all kind of, these people would get killed. But she didn't care. She didn't care. You can't please these people. So damn if you do and damn if you don't. These are snake in the grass. These are the people. These are the type of people that came to Jesus, right? When Jesus was on this earth. Good master. Why are you calling me good master? What are you talking about? You know, here's a. Do you think it's good to pay? Do you think it's good to pay tax to Caesar? Huh? Like, if he say yes, we got him. If we say no, we got him. This is these people, snake in the grass. You can't help them. No matter what she say, they will find something wrong with it. If she were to say exactly what they want her to say, they will still find something wrong with it. This is the hate that's oozing from these people. And they're all sitting there like, I ain't hateful. I ain't hateful. Hey, I'm trying to save people. Save people from Ellen White. With this. We're telling black people to go ahead, so get yourself hanged. Like, that's a good idea. Yeah, that's a brilliant idea, actually.
White laborers will not be able to work in some places in the South. This is from the Southern work and also in testimonies here. I know that if we attempt to meet the ideals and preferences of some of the colored people, we shall find our way blocked completely. The work of proclaiming the truth for this time.
Black? No, we shall find our way blocked completely. That's what it says, blocked.
Is not to be hindered by an effort to adjust the position of the Negro race. And mind you, this is in like when the days of the Morning Star that's going down the Mississippi River and all this. Right? Should we attempt to do this, we should find that barriers like mountains would be raised to hinder the work that God desires to have done. Okay, so yes, this was in the antebellum South there, okay, and or maybe so around the time of the war, maybe before the Civil War, something like that, but the point is that they were trying to get down there and preach their message. We're gonna see a couple things in a few minutes here.
All right, let me interject here. Let me read that. The work of proclaiming the truth for this time is not to be hindered by an effort to adjust the position of the Negro race. The position, what was that? Slave and free man. I'm guessing that's the position, right? Oh, what other position would there be? Because for some reason they seem that they don't know what the position is. They say it's a position, so there's got to be something bad. Well, as far as I can understand that, in my limited knowledge, I would think the position would either be slave or free, right? I think that's what she's talking about. So, see, we are not supposed to adjust their position. Like if they come as a slave, we leave them as a slave. If they come as a free man, we leave them as a free man. That's what we're saying. Now, are they going to treat them different? No. They came there to help them, to give them the gospel. That's what they were doing down there. But they didn't come there to get political. Because what? It would just hinder the work. Common sense. It would hinder the work. What does that mean? That means that if they was to go down there and say, okay, you all have to fight for your rights, what's that going to do? How is that going to advance the cause? How? It ain't going to advance the cause. It's going to hinder it. It's going to make it worse. It's going to make it difficult. It's going to get people against you. Try to kick you out. That's what was going to happen. Now, anyone would read that would kind of glean that from it. Not these people. You see, they're consumed in racism. They can't get past it. Can't get past it. Everything they see is in color. These are race baiters. That's what they are. Every single one of them. Both or three of them.
One thing on that real quick, just because there's a common defense that they try to give to this to say, no, she wasn't talking about that as like human beings, they're not equal. It's just that right now with the way that the political climate is, they shouldn't go against the way that the law is because it will hinder the way for us to make progress.
Mm-hmm. One would think that makes sense, right? One would think, well, that is exactly what would happen. Right? That's exactly what would happen. One would think so. But no. No, not these people. And you can't think. What's wrong with you?
Folks, This is coming from God. Abolition was headed and spearheaded by Christians.
Now, for some reason, God wouldn't be able to figure that out either. God would say, you know something? You go so tell them. Yeah, that's what God would do. Go so tell them. But let me show you something in the Bible, Myles. Something about what you call racism. Something about slavery. Let me show you something in the Bible. How God saw this. How the apostles saw this. All right, check out Ephesians 6 and verse 5. Servants, be obedient to them that are your masters, according to the flesh, with fear and trembling, in singleness of your heart, as unto Christ. What did Jesus say there? He said, this is Peter, right? This is people that they follow Peter all over the place. Peter's their guy. But listen to what Peter had told you. Speaking of slaves, he says, slaves, you need to go out and be equal to your masters. That's what you need to do. Go and be equal. You need to fight for your rights. Is that what it says there? This is God speaking. This one you can definitely make sure that it's God speaking, because this is in the Bible, right? If you believe the Bible. This is what it's told the slaves. Servants, be obedient unto them that are your masters according to the flesh, with fear and trembling. That's how obedient you need to be to them. in singleness of heart. I mean, do whatever you have to do with all your might as unto Christ. That's the way you're supposed to do it. Whatever they tell you to do, that's the way you're supposed to do it. Didn't see that one coming, did you? Of course you saw it. You know all of this. But you don't care. That's the thing. You don't care about it. Here's another one. Colossians 3:22 and 23. Servants, obey in all things your master according to the flesh, not with eye service, as man pleasers, but in singleness of heart, fearing God. And whatsoever ye do, do it heartily, as to the Lord, and not unto men. This is how a servant supposed to serve their master. How you like that one? Here's another. 1 Timothy 6 in verse 1. Let as many servants as are under the yoke count their own master worthy of all honor, that the name of God and his doctrine be not blasphemed. This is God speaking. Was God wrong too? How about this one? Titus 2 in verse 9. Exhort servants to be obedient unto their own masters, and to please them well in all things, not answering again. What? Whatever your master tell you, you please them in all things. Don't give no back mouth. This is what Paul told them. Oh yeah, Paul was a racist too. Yeah, if you have something to say with Ellen White, you have to have something to say to Paul too. Paul saying, at least Ellen White didn't say this. Ellen White didn't tell him, you all got to stay there. You read what Paul was telling the people. That you stay there and you be obedient. No. Paul would tell them, you all need to rebel. Get out. You got to fight for your rights. Paul said, no, you shut your mouth. And what Paul said, not answering again. Not purloining, not showing all good, but showing all good fidelity, that they may adorn the doctrine of God, your Savior, in all things. And what Paul told him, say, you shut your mouth and do what your master tell you to do. And say it in that way. I'm just paraphrasing here to make a point. Right? To make a point. That's why I'm doing it. Because they have a problem with Ellen G. White when she's saying, I don't want these black people to get killed. No, you're supposed to send them out there and make them all get killed. Then we'll have something to talk about then. Yeah, we'll be able to show everybody how inhumane she was. That's right. She was an inhumane woman. I mean, she didn't have any feeling for these people. She knew that they were all basically signing their death sentence. She didn't care. That's the first thing that these race baiters would jump out and say. But you see, she doesn't give them anything to talk about. That's why they're all upset. She's going all over encyclopedias, and this one said that, and this one heard her say this, and this one, he was overhearing, he heard her say this, and yeah. That's where they have to go. These people don't got no shame. No shame at all. I tell you. Let's hear what else they have to say.
The government does not determine what God then says is right and wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have a track record in Scripture of God?
The government doesn't determine what's right and wrong. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Who has determined that? I mean, society-wise, who is it that determined that? Is God? No, God determined morality. And the government is the one that enforces it. That's right, Brandon. So you have rights because the government gave them to you. That's why you have rights. That's where you can get out there and protest. That's where you can get out there and burn the flag. You can go there and do all kind of foolish shit. As long as you're not hurting nobody, you have a right to do that. The government give you that right. God give morality, and the government enforces those things. Well, they ain't doing that anymore. They take the church, the Bible out of churches, and who's supposed to have rights doesn't have them, and who shouldn't have rights have them. That's the way it's working right now. It's going to get worse and worse. But it's the government that does that. You go out and break the law, you ain't worried about it. Oh, the brother from the church is going to come and he's going to have a word with me. No, you worried about the police. That's who you worried about. It's the government that you worry about. So you can't figure that out. I can't help you.
I don't know, having people stand up against corrupt governments.
Right.
It was God's counsel. No, we don't want to stir anything up. Yeah, because God doesn't have a track record of ever stirring anything up politically.
Right.
What Bible is he reading? Where did God's people stir up any type of political upheaval? Where do you find that in the Bible? Listen to what he's saying. He hasn't thought this through. He hasn't thought this through even a little bit. Where you show me that in the Bible? Where in the Bible did God people rise up against the government? I'll tell you what the Bible says. I'm going to show you what the Bible says. Let me break it down for you. Romans 13, verse 1 to 4. So let every soul be subject unto the higher powers. For there is no power but of God. The power that are ordained of God. Which powers is he talking about here? So Christians supposed to fight against God? That's what was supposed to happen? Oh, let me continue. Because he seemed that he didn't get the memo. Verse 2. Whosoever therefore resisted the ordinance of God. And this is a good old Paul, right? You all listen to Paul. And they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation. Huh? From who? It's not clear. Let's continue. For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to evil. Wilt thou then be afraid of the power? Do that which is good, and thou shalt have praise of the same. For he is a minister of God to thee for good. But if thou do that which is evil, be afraid, for he beareth not the sword in vain. He has reason to carry the gun. For he is the minister of God, a revenger to execute wrath upon him that doeth evil. And this is not the church, right? God isn't speaking about the church. He's speaking about the government. He has a government in place. You're not supposed to fight against the government. There's a reason there is a government. It's to keep law and order. That's why it exists. God's people ain't supposed to fight against them. Now, are you supposed to obey if the government is asking you to break God's commandment? No, there isn't hierarchy. But are you going to go and fight? No. You simply don't obey. You ain't doing anything. You ain't going out there and fighting. You ain't going out there looking for problems either. Not like good old Myles is saying. Myles said that Ellen G. White should have tell them, you all got to try to go out there and get lynched. That's what y'all got to do. These are race baiters. He didn't even think about what he just said.
That's just a silly defense. That's just a silly defense. This in
and
conjunction with all of her statements.
On top of that, Myles, this argument about the time and the dangers, you have the Quakers.
Mm-hmm.
The Quakers had no prophet. The Quakers did not have the clout that the SDAs had, yet they stood squarely against racism and segregation. And I think in the 1940s, they won a Nobel Peace Prize for it.
Mm-hmm. Good. That's a good point. Where's the Quakers today? Oh, where are the Quakers today? Yeah, they should. The Adventist church should have been like the Quakers, right? That would make you all just ecstatic, happy. You see, we have a mission, and our mission is to get the gospel out there. We ain't supposed to try to get ourselves hindrance. Common sense would tell anyone that. If you're trying to succeed, you don't look for stumbling blocks. And you definitely do not put them in your way. What was the church going to do? Was the church going to make a difference? Was the church going to get up there and do something for the black race? Was it going to go out there and get into office and start fighting for rights and stuff like that? Was the church supposed to do that? Or was the church interested in their one soul salvation? Was that supposed to be their one aim? You see, once you have Christ, you are freed, even if you are a slave. You all should know that. And no, you want them people to get hanged. That's what you all want. You wanted her to go there and say, yeah, you all need to fight. You all need to get up there and we're going to fight with you. What do you think was going to happen to the gospel? What do you think was going to happen to the message? You think it was going to be accepted? Do you think it was going to flourish if they had do something like that? Oh, yeah. Why aren't you a Quaker since they were so good? Huh? I think they still exist. I don't know if they still exist. Probably still exist. If they still, why aren't you a Quaker? They were standing shoulder to shoulder with you, it seems like. They were there fighting the good fight, it seems like. According to how you're saying it. They were there with their guns and everything, warding off the white man. Right? Why aren't you a Quaker since they were so good? Look at them.
And so don't even bring up that silly argument about just for peace sake. I mean, this was dehumanizing. This was very dehumanizing. It was cowardice. And Adventists had racist ideologies and views about blacks simply because of these dehumanizing statements that Ellen White made about black people. Yes, she self-contradictorily made some nice, pretty statements about blacks. I document all of that in Volume 3. Where she died for their equality and their humanity and what you call it now, reparations and those kind of things. But all of those good, pretty statements were based on her altruism. That now she's able to benefit from these people and her church can benefit from them. But after making those.
Tell me something. How her church would benefit from them when they didn't have anything? She was going down there trying to plant churches. Huh? Explain that to me. Something isn't adding up. Do you think that was a loss or a gain when you go to a place that people doesn't have anything? You think that's a loss or a gain? You're going to set up shop there, put schools down there for people that doesn't have anything? Because the white people wasn't going to go to the schools, to a black school. But no, she wasn't doing anything for them. She was using them. Yeah. This is the mentality that they have. And they're Democrats. I can almost 100% guarantee that both of them are Democrats. All three of them. All three of them look like Democrats. They don't see any problem with what they're doing. They sit down there and they raise bait day in and day out. Everything is what you call this thing, racist to these people. Everything is racist. And then they vote for a racist person to be in office. That's what they vote for. Why? Because he gave them chocolate. I'll give you a couple of cents here. I'll give you a little check here and there every month. You just need to get rid of your husbands. Yeah, because we don't want these children to raise up with fathers in the home. That's, oh my goodness gracious, you can't have that. And we need to get them, need to get rid of these people. And they vote for that every day. Every election around they go and they vote for the same thing. Can't learn. That's why Ellen White said, they didn't know where to put them. She didn't know where to put them then, and we still don't know where to put them. Because they're even worse today. They're worse today. You know, they run around all day and all night looking for racism everywhere they can find. Anything happen there, it's because of racism. If they fail, it's because of these white men. They didn't want to give me the job. They don't hold themselves accountable. Maybe it was something I just didn't qualify with. No. So what we need reparation. Yeah, and they have the thing that how they couldn't get into the white schools, so they want to get into white school, and they couldn't get the grade. Oh my goodness, what? So it's okay. You can get out less grade. The white people have to take out a higher grade than you. Not to mention the Asians. They really had it. They max out. They got to get up to the hundreds, right? Man, poor thing. Yeah, you don't have to take out such a good. We let you in. Then they get into these high schools, these really good schools, and then they can't make the grade. Oh man, it's a white man that's keeping me down. It's the white people that's doing all this to me. This is all the result of the absence of fathers in the home. That's what this is. They don't have any accountability. And they keep doing the same thing over and over and over and again. I can almost guarantee these people will vote for Joe Biden again. put it back in office. Any other Democrat. I don't care who it is. As long as he's got the D behind his name, we vote for that person. He's the best. They're the one that was our master. They used to give us candy. We work all day, and when we get home, we have a little plate of food. You know what type of food that was, and we have a little candy, and we go to sleep. Tomorrow, the same thing. You get up and work yourself to death again, and you get your plate of food and your candy. It was something that was sure. You know, they're always crying racism and don't even know who the racist is. It's just sad.
Those statements. The latter part of her work in ministry is the sort of racist statement that she makes about black people, even so far as saying that in heaven, segregation and racism will stop because blacks are going to be white like Jesus.
Oh yeah, that's coming.
All right. It is? Okay.
All right. So ministers with that solution, and none of it is from God. It is not true. It is not from God.
Facts.
Go ahead, Big sorry.
Yeah, no, what these brothers were just talking about is right here. Where demanded by custom or where greater efficiency is to be gained, let the white believers and the colored believers assemble in separate places of worship. Again, if it's by the law.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let them assemble in separate places. Why? Why would you say something like that? You know, these people, it's so sad, man. Why would you say something like that? Do you think she had a reason? And they say, oh, you see what she said. Now, what would have been better? For the whites and the blacks to be in the same church and scorning each other? That would have been good. You know, when the black people come in, they would have feel right at home. Right at home, right? Yeah. Just imagine if one of these was there. They wouldn't know where to go. When they really encounter racism. Get those that they probably would break down there and cry. Pay the males. No. The reason why she said that was because that was a good idea. At that time, it was a good idea. Do we need that today? No. Do we have it today? Yes. He was, wait a minute. If we don't need it, why do we have it? Because of people like you. That's why it still exists. Because of people like you is why it still exists. It exists again. It still exists today. You have in the United States, especially, you have white church and you have black church. You go into there, all black people. A white person go in there to feel out of place. They feel out of place. And if a black person was to go into a white church, they feel out of place, but they don't feel out of place because anyone has anything against them. It's all in their mind. They imagining, oh, when is this one looking at me? Oh my God, this one, and they're frightened. They would go into a white church and they are scared to death. White people doesn't even see them. They even know that and they're sweating and scared that they can't wait to get out of there. Oh my God, I thought I was going to be lynched up in there. People didn't even know you came. And the white people go to that church. Now there you got racism. You black people started looking, what are you doing here? Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. When these white people go into one of those black churches, everyone, they're supposed to go down the road. They ain't supposed to be here. That's what black people would say. White people doesn't do that. You get into white church, but they don't even know you came. Ain't their own business. And this was a good idea.
Well, we shouldn't break the law.
Well, real quick.
At least at that time.
Okay.
Folks, in Galatians 3, sorry, Sandy, yes. I'm gonna say something.
You're right on top of it. Yeah, go ahead.
Folks, you had the exact opposite of this going on in the early church. When you read Galatians 3, you need to understand, when it says Scythian, barbarian, this is not just like a caveman. Most people, when they hear the word barbarian, they think like a caveman. That's not what's being said there. There were racial tensions at that time as well. Mm-hmm. Did Paul say, well, because there's political tensions around this right now, or cultural tensions, we should separate our assemblies and not worship together? Noodle on that.
Yeah. No, and
well, maybe that is because that was a totally different situation. Maybe that's the reason, right? You see, back then, it was very, very different. You see, when you were deemed a Christian, that was basically a death sentence. You know, I would like to try to make this clear. It was a death sentence. I mean, you could have lose your life for being a Christian. When you got to a place that it was accepted that people wasn't actually out to kill you, you wasn't thinking about, oh my goodness, look at this person. This person is a slave. I can't be, that person is black. I can't talk with it. This is huh? No. Back then, everybody knew what was on the line. If a rich person became a Christian, he knew at any moment he could lose his life. Now, I'm not speaking figuratively, brothers and sisters. I'm speaking real. It wasn't the type of Christian, like for example, that existed in the time of Ellen White. It wasn't these nominal Christian that was just had it name. No, it wasn't like that. It wasn't these Christian that was fighting to house slave, to have people as slaves. It wasn't that, brothers and sisters. You can't try to equate the two as though it was the same situation. It wasn't. When someone became a brother and sister, they understood that is actually my brother. He sit closer than a brother. And they treat him as such. Not to say he didn't have that people mistreating people back then either, because you have to be crazy, somehow to be loose in your mind to even think that. But that wasn't the norm. This was the norm. Right? This was the norm. People thought that black people was less than them. Say, oh, and even though they were say, okay, these people are going to be saved too. These people is going to be Adventists too. We accept them as Adventists. It didn't mean that they wanted to sit next to them, because this thing was still alive. And for black people to come into a white church, how was that person going to feel? Was he going to feel welcome? I think not. Wasn't feeling. He was feel something. Wasn't going to be welcome. I can definitely tell you that it wasn't going to be welcome. Anyways, I think that this was actually a good idea, and that example that you're trying to pawn off there, that doesn't make no sense. No sense at all.
And to go further, right? I believe it was Galatians also, where Paul chastised Peter for not wanting to act differently between when the Judaizers came, right? Paul says, "I was still to his face," right? You know, this is ridiculous, right? Okay, Mark Anthony, whatever you.
Let me tell you something. Peter wasn't the law. I don't know if you realize that Peter wasn't the law. That's what we're talking about, right? What we're talking about. Peter wasn't the law. And did he force Peter to do anything? Did he force him? You better you straight up here. You can force you to. No. Peter understood what he was saying, and Peter straightened up by himself. Peter wasn't forced by Paul to do anything, which is what you would. That's what you want. That's what you're implying that Ellen White should do. Force these people to come together when they didn't want to be together. See, it's totally different. But Peter understood. Peter wanted to be there. And Peter wanted to be there. And the other Jews came down here. They were wondering, what you doing? You're sitting over there every day. You should be sitting here. And people, oh my goodness, I should really go over there and sit with these people, right? You're all trying to mingle the two as though the same. It's not the same. It's not the same. And very, very disingenuous for you to even attempt to do that. It's not the same. It's a totally different situation. If you can't figure it out, I can't help you.
Whatever you want. So you missed all the rest of the stream for the last hour and 47 minutes, bro? Okay, whatever. Right? So, I mean, feel free. Anywho, so this is kind of one of those things that you have to recognize, that being in the presence of Gentiles and eating with Gentiles, likely eating their foods, right? Against the food laws, the dietary laws of the Torah, right? These men, when the Judaizers come, Peter wants to act all high and mighty, right? And now being a respecter of persons, if you will, right? And Paul withstands into his face. You can find that in the book, right? So, again, is this precious race of light from the throne? Right? So this is what you have to ask, and the answer is no. Listen, I don't know what it is, but it ain't light from the throne. Okay, no one is clearly capable of defining the proper position of the colored race, she says. Meanwhile, the scripture says this: God says, "Let us make man in our image, according to our likeness. They will rule the fish of the sea, the birds of the sky, the livestock, all the earth, and the creatures that crawl on the earth." So God created man in his own image. He created him in the image of God. He created them, male and female. God blessed them. And God said to them, that's the human beings he just created, be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth, and subdue it. Let's skip over to Acts 17. What does this say? Then Paul stood in the middle of the Areopagus, okay, and said, "Men of Athens, I see that you are extremely religious in every respect, for as I was passing through and observing the objects of your worship, I even found an altar on which is inscribed to an unknown God. Therefore, what you worship in ignorance, this I proclaim to you. Catch it. The God who made the world and everything in it, just like we read in Genesis chapter 1 there, okay? He is the Lord of heaven and earth and does not live in shrines made by hands. Neither is he served by human hands as though he needed anything, since he himself gives everyone life and breath. And all things from one man, he has made every nationality to live over the whole earth and has determined their appointed times and the boundaries of where they live. He did this so that they might seek God and perhaps reach out and find him, though he is not far from each one of us." Ellen.
Okay, I don't know how you think that helped you. I don't know how you think that help you. Let's just look for that text. It says here in verse 26, from one man he has made every nationality to live over the whole earth and has determined their appointed times and the boundaries of where they live. Hey, I don't like this translation. Anyways, it did say what it says. So, according to this text, it says that God made, I'm glad you actually pulled it up, that God made all people from one man. This one man was Adam. Because I was thinking that you didn't even believe this, so I didn't even bring it up really. I thought about it, but I said, probably get. But it seemed like you actually agree with this. So I'm going to put something out there. Speaking about this speaking about the amalgamation, right? Tell me, if God made everyone from Adam, was Adam white, black, or rosy? Big question. Because Ellen White said that Adam was rosy. He wasn't white and he wasn't black. Neither was Eve. They had a rose color. Right? That was the color of Adam and Eve, according to the spirit of prophecy. According to you, how did black people get here? If God made from one man all races of people. And what it says there, they say races there, it says nationality. All nationalities, they had different nationalities. Okay. Because today we have different nationality, we live in all different parts of the world. So tell me this. Let's let this sink in just a little bit. If all people came from Adam and Eve, were Adam and Eve black? And if Adam was Eve black, how did you get white people? Okay. Let me put it another way. Let's just say Adam and Eve were the one in between, which you might agree, but Ellen G. White said that, so you probably mightn't agree. You probably think Adam and Eve were a different color. Or you probably think they were white, because you had that inferiority complex. White people started to have children. Where did the black people come from? Because we had to have an amalgamation, right? How did we get this amalgamation? Because obviously it couldn't be with black woman, right? Because there wasn't any black woman. So somehow the black race had to come in. Did God create the black race? Is the black race the human race too? If the human race, they should come from Adam too, right? But there's black people. And then there's Adam and Eve, and then there's black people. Even back then, right? Because this was happened before in the antediluvian time. They started to do this, right? That's what Ellen G. White said. Started to do this way back then. So way back then, there was already black people, according to you, right? Ellen G. White didn't say that. That's you that said that. This amalgamation between the races. You the one that's saying that there were black people. That's what you are saying. You didn't get that from her. I know you did say that someone heard someone say this and told this one, told this one, and told the other one, and then they heard it, and then they say, yeah, she said it. She didn't say that either. That doesn't work in a court of law. We have what she said, and she didn't say that. Right? Other people said a whole bunch of things, but she didn't say it. You have to try to make that distinction. I know it's kind of difficult, but you should try to make the decision. So getting back to the point, you have Adam and Eve, which You would probably want to say they were black. Were they black? I would like to know. I know you can't answer, but think about that. Were they black or not? If they wasn't black, where did they come from? How did black people? Because they couldn't be the one that was doing the amalgamation, right? Because that means that they would already have to be here. So you can't do an amalgamation and then get blacks from blacks. No, you have to do an amalgamation and get black from some other color, right? Common sense. So somehow black people came on the face of the earth. You see, Ellen G. White explained that all races came from Adam and Eve. That's what she said. Blacks, the whites, the Asians, all those people came from Adam and Eve. Better say it, they came from Noah and his children. They come right there. Well, ultimately they came from Adam and Eve because everybody came from Adam and Eve. But all those people died off, and it was left 8 people on the earth again, and they started over. So from them, had the black people had to come again, right? You see, it's pretty easy for Adam and Eve to have black children because they had the genetic code to create all the races. It wasn't white. You see, white people makes white people. You know, they can breed and breed and breed and they always get white children. Right? Always get white children. The whiter they get, the whiter will be their children. That's why you had this problem with the race, you see. Because white people have children, they will always have white babies. Always have white babies. It never fail. The children always came white, never did come black. Until they brought the slaves. Oh, these are black people, these strange looking people. Oh, they can understand. Oh, wow. Yeah, this is just great. We can work these people now. We can act better than animals, right? Even though they treat them less than animals. But they can communicate, talk to these people, and they can talk back. So, wow, this is the best thing says sliced bread. My goodness. I can tell them exactly what I want to do. You need to get a horse. You can't tell a horse, go so do this horse. Yeah, go so plow the field. Horse ain't gonna do nothing. Tell another human being, go so plow the field. He understands that he need to go and plow the field. So this is a problem for you actually, because this is saying that black people also came from Adam. That's what that's saying. But you were trying to say, yeah, that said black people come from Adam, but Ellen G. White said confused races. And racist, I mean, that's black because you're a racist. First thing came to your mind, black people. First thing. I mean, like, whew, that light went on so quick. Black people. It's black people they're talking about. Did she say that? No. But oh, you see what she said? It got to be black people. They can't fathom the thought that it's not speaking about them. Can't fathom it. Like, it got to be speaking about me. Who else would she be speaking about? It got to be me. If it's not me, I'm get upset. And believe me, they do get upset. Have mercy.
Why I can't figure out the proper position of the colored people. And I'm here to tell you what the scripture says, that everybody that draws breath, that is an image bearer of God, that's everybody on the planet, is of one blood. There is one race, the human race.
No amalgamation, no man and beast, no image of God being defiled because of being unequally yoked. We have Jason here in the comments. He's now commenting saying that we're not being fair with Ellen White. Okay, Jason. Okay.
There's an objection to the marriage of the white race with the black. All should consider that they have no right to entail upon their offspring that which will place them at a disadvantage. They have no right to give them as a birthright a condition which would subject them to a life of humiliation. The children of these mixed marriages have a feeling of bitterness towards the parent who have given them. It's funny how Ellen can know what every kid from a quote unquote mixed marriage can feel, right? Crazy.
You should ask them. You should ask them if she was wrong. That's what you should do. Common sense would tell you that. They even have books about this kind of stuff. They wasn't accepted by blacks or by whites. Common sense would tell you that. Do some little bit of history reading. It would tell you too. You gotta look far. I mean, you're race beta. You'll find that right quick. Your antennas goes up every time you see something that look like racism. That'd be easy for you to find, but you wouldn't dare look because you don't want to know. Now you prefer to say, "Oh, you see what she said? This wasn't a good idea." Now, how in the world would you think that this is racism? And if you can't read what she is saying there, I can't help you. What's wrong with what she's saying there? Now, how in the world would you not be able to understand that? That wasn't a good idea. Those children had a lot of problems. You see, you live in a society where none of this exists. You have to make it up in your mind. You have to make it up in your mind. You live in a society where none of this exists. These children had it very hard. They wasn't accepted by black people because they wasn't black enough. And they wasn't accepted by white people because they wasn't white enough. These people was in limbo. That's where they were. But you would sit there. If you was living, that would have been a good idea for you to go and get married to a white woman and then your children to go through that. Yeah, that would have been a perfect idea. See, this is what I'm talking about race betas. They have no idea what they're talking about. They do consume and hate to see anything else. How in the world would you want your children to go through that? Today, it's a whole different ball game. I mean, you get cooler children. I mean, they're beautiful children. I mean, how with the pretty skin? That wasn't the way it was in the past. They wasn't black enough and they wasn't white enough. They were outcast children. They were outcast children. A white woman, a black girl would be afraid to go out and be seen with him because, God, they might confuse him for white. And a white girl would be scared to go out. He might confuse him for black. Today is a whole different thing. You see, because time was what was needed. Ellen G. White had enough sense to realize that. You don't. She was trying to help you to try to not put yourself in that situation. Because your children are going to suffer. That's what she was telling you. Your children are going to suffer if you do that. She wouldn't say, do not do it. She wouldn't say, you can't go and do that. She wasn't saying that. It was admonition. She was giving them counsel. If you do this, just keep in mind what's going to happen. Your children, there's going to be in a whole lot of problems. But see, race betas can't ever see any type of logic or any truth in anything because they're blinded, consumed by hate, and they can't see anything else but racism and everything that they find. Very pencil is racist to these people.
I have a feeling of the bitterness toward the parent who have given them this lifelong inheritance for this reason. If there were no other, there should be no intermarriage between the white and the colored races. Okay?
Yeah, there shouldn't have been. Because that was the result. That was the result. There wasn't nothing good to come from that in those days. Was it? Unless you go to another place that wasn't that way. It's a different story. If you go to a place that you were accepted, hey, perfectly fine. But she wasn't talking. She was talking where these people were. It wasn't accepted there. And they could have gotten married because they were free people. But what would have been the result of that? What type of life were they going to have? How to look over their back all the time? You can't figure any of that out.
Manuscript 7, blah, blah, you can read it. Okay? Again, the problem with this idea of mixed marriages is that it ignores what this says in Acts 17 and amongst other places. God has created all human beings. There's no mixed marriages. Okay? We're all one.
Nobody is disputing that. God did create all the races. Ellen G. White said that as well. Ain't nobody disputing it. You're the one that had the problem with that. With that said, man, sister, there was slavery. Just because the Bible says that doesn't negate the fact that there was slavery. And doesn't negate the fact that there was racism. You definitely seem to understand that because you can't get your mind off anything else. It doesn't negate anything, brothers and sisters.
Blood. We're all one people.
And not just that, but the excuse that, it was just for that time. No, folks, the point is God did not say this. God did not say, because antebellum slavery is going on, I'm beholden now to this political climate that's going on in 19th century America. No, that's the point. This is not coming from God. And Ellen White claimed that she never wrote a sentence of heresy, that it was God speaking through clay. It wasn't merely her own opinion. And to go against the things that she wrote was to insult the Spirit of God. Give me a break.
I don't see anything wrong with what she said. Y'all a bunch of raised betas and they have no idea what y'all is spouting. If anyone had listened to you back then, they would have all been killed. Bunch of geniuses. That's how much you love black people. You would have all them strung up out there. Yeah, go. That's a good idea. Go to get married to that black woman. Go to get married to that white woman. Ain't no problem with that. You have the right to do that. Yeah, you have the right to do it. They were free people. They could have done it. Was it a good idea? That's the question. That's what she's saying. It's not a good idea to do that. Your children, you can put your children on through all kind of hell. And they're like, ain't nothing gonna happen to the children. That's perfectly fine. You know, they get up, they're good little, cool little children. Ain't nothing wrong with that. They would have been perfectly fine in that society. They wouldn't have a problem in the world. Children not accepted by whites or black. Yeah.
You have no license from God to exclude the colored people from places of worship. Oh, that's nice. Treat them as Christ's property, which they are. That's nice too. Just as much as yourselves. Yes, they should hold membership in the church with the white brethren. That's nice. Every effort should be made to wipe out the terrible wrong slavery, which has been done them. At the same time, we must not carry things to extremes and run into fanaticism on this question. Some would think it would be right to throw down every partition wall and intermarry with the colored people. But this is not the right thing to teach or practice. Southern Work, page 15. Yes.
She said it for the same reason, the quote that you just wrote, it's the same thing. She said it's not a good idea. Because they wasn't living in a vacuum. Right? They had to live with people that didn't believe the way that they believe. That's why. They had to live with people that didn't believe, people that were racist, that were real racist. That would have hang you. That would have shoot you down in the street. That real racism, not the imaginary one that you have. The real thing. Kind of stuff that you're afraid to go out of your house. I bet you say, I'm afraid to go in my house too. I will not go to the mall, I will not go down here. Yeah, just only afraid to go out of your house. Well, when racism existed, that was a real deal. I mean, people used to die. People leave their home and didn't come back. Over racism. That's when it existed. But you keeping it alive and you're, yeah, these people, they're looking at me funny. They're killing me every day with their thoughts. Do you even know these people? People don't even see you, they don't care about you either. But, oh yeah, these people, they go to the bank and they didn't want to give me a loan. But how good is your credit? My credit no good, but they didn't give it to me because I'm black. Everything they blame on racism. Everything. And they can't figure out. And see why he's saying all of this. Yes, bring them into Washington. They are brothers and sisters, right? Same thing. But we should not intermarry with them. They shouldn't intermarry with us. It goes both ways. For me to marry her, she have to marry me, right? It goes both ways. Why? Because of the same reason she just mentioned just now. It's not a good idea. The children are going to suffer. So think about the children and the parents as well. But they're going to have problems too. See, none of that exists today. But it still exists today in your mind. You see it all over the place. Everywhere you go, you see it. No one else see it, but you see it. Oh yeah, it's there. It's living. And you make sure it doesn't die. Because you keep it alive. And then you're talking about racism. You're the biggest racist here.
No. We shouldn't throw down every partition wall. Let's keep some of them up. Just a couple.
I think it's funny.
My friends, and Mark. Okay, God bless you, man. As they say in the South, boy,